Fox 9 News starts now.
And what a difference a week makes. Hi, everyone. I'm Bill Keller. Thanks for joining us and staying with us after the race. It has been 1 week since a tornado swept through the metro, ripping apart homes in North Minneapolis. So how is everyone doing now? Fox 9's Leah Bino returned from some of the hardest hit areas. Leah, how are those folks doing over there?
You know, considering the obstacles, many people we spoke with are in good spirits. Organizers are exploring the possibility of an alternative. We'll keep you posted on that. Back to you, Bill.
Now, Leah, I know last week during that disaster recovery center, while it was open, they were giving out some supplies to folks. How long will they keep that up? Anything left?
They actually stopped doing that today at 1 o'clock, but all of that is still available. They're just trying to figure out how they're going to do that in the future after Tuesday.
All right. Thank you, Leah.
You're welcome.
Now, 3 Minnesota lawmakers are asking President Obama to quickly issue a disaster declaration for 2 Minnesota counties. U.S. Senators Al Franken and Amy Klobuchar and U.S. Representative Keith Ellison sent the president a letter today. They are hoping for an expedited presidential disaster declaration for Hennepin and parts of Anoka County. Now, the move would allow federal money to supplement state and local relief efforts. Now, if you've been looking for a chance to help with the cleanup efforts, you have an opportunity coming up next weekend. Now, Saturday, June 4th will be an official Northside Volunteer Cleanup Day. The city of Minneapolis is hoping for 2,000 volunteers. If you're interested, you need to sign up. Call 311 to register. Only those people who have signed up ahead of time will be able to take part in the cleanup effort next Saturday. Now, this weekend, a wet and cold holiday weekend so far. Let's just say cool. Everyone wants to know what is in store for Monday. Marina joins us now with the answer in your Weather First forecast.
Well, Bill, yes, today it was cloudy, it was cool, and it was not the best of days. And I'll talk to you more about that coming up in the next break.
All right, thank you, Marina. It has been a deadly holiday weekend so far. At least 2 people died in accidents on the water. One of them happened in Goodhue County on Saturday. 50-year-old Brian Harwick died after jumping into Lake Pepin after his dog. He was then shocked by an electrical current from a boat lift. Now, the Goodhue County Sheriff's Office is investigating. Also up in Lake Vermilion, a boat with 7 passengers sunk. 6 people were saved, 1 drowned. The victim, 29-year-old Casey Gilbertson. Authorities don't know why that boat sank. And closer to home, 3 men had to be rescued after the boat they were in took on water as well. No one was hurt, but the driver of that boat was arrested for operating the boat under the influence of alcohol. Fox 9's Eric Rung has more from Lake Marine in Washington County.
The 3 men, who were all in their 20s, were camping on an island out here in the lake. We're in Washington County. I'm Eric Rung, Fox 9 News.
A memorial service for victims of the Joplin, Missouri tornado, and President Obama is there telling survivors the nation will be with them every step of the way. Fox's Doug McKelway has the details from Joplin.
A day after returning from his European tour, President Obama visits Joplin, Missouri. In Joplin, Missouri, Doug McKelway, Fox News.
Now, with Memorial Day weekend upon us, the Stars and Stripes are flying everywhere as people honor their fallen heroes. But there is one flag in one of the state's most sacred spots that is under the microscope for all the wrong reasons. Paul Bloom has that story.
At Fort Snelling National Cemetery, Paul Bloom, Fox 9 News.
Now the field continues to grow for the 2012 presidential election. Former Governor Tim Pawlenty is on the political talk show circuit, taking some big questions and big issues for the upcoming GOP primary. Stay with us.
Ready, aim, fire.
Yeah, a special tribute for veterans of this Memorial Day weekend at Fort Snelling. In addition to that rifle salute and taps this year, there is a special memorial garden honoring the casualties of the global war on terrorism. White crosses bearing the names of all the war dead from Minnesota and the surrounding states were placed on a field of grass. It's a tough weekend. I got some friends who are going out there to visit their father, who was a veteran and died last year. So, you know, it's an emotional time.
It is, and such amazing stories. My husband and I were watching a series, well, basically the Memorial Day celebration from right in front of the Capitol.
Sure.
Right on the mall, and everyone was telling their stories, and it was really touching. It's really amazing when you bring those memories back.
Now, of course, everyone, a lot of folks have tomorrow off. They're worried about the weather. I had a bright spot for about 3 hours on Saturday. We got out on the lake Minnetonka.
In the morning?
Yeah, it was. We went paddling out on Minnehaha Creek. And it was great until the rain came in the afternoon. How about tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow it looks like we'll have some showers in the morning, and then we'll get a midday break, but that sunshine is going to come at a cost later on in the afternoon and evening. So we're going to have to be very careful tomorrow. But spring rains are straining the Garrison Dam in Bismarck, North Dakota. Tomorrow's going to be tough. If you want to grill out or head out to the lake, I'd say mid-morning to early afternoon would be your best time frame. Then get back in.
Thanks, Marina. Well, their workload has doubled, but their pay remains the same.
When workers make better wages, that's how our communities prosper.
Yeah, cleaning workers protesting at the Cub Foods on Lake Street, asking for fair wages and better working conditions. Now, some workers are on a hunger strike and haven't eaten since last weekend. Representative Keith Ellison says the frozen pay scale is making it hard to earn a living wage.
We've seen a slide in wage rates in America. The corporate community can do better.
One worker was fired from his job at Cub when the protests began. Now, this Memorial Day weekend, Senator Amy Klobuchar announcing a new bill to help military service members. Now, the measure would keep student loans from accruing interest while the servicemen and women are on active duty. And the bill is already endorsed by the VFW, the Student Veterans Association, and the National Guard.
The Service Member Student Loan Interest Relief Act helps troops to reach their education goals, and it helps reduce the burden so that they can focus on doing their duty to our nation.
Senator Amy Klobuchar hopes the bill will make higher education more affordable and accessible for service members. Medicare already shaping up to be a big issue in the 2012 presidential election. On ABC's This Week, White House hopeful Tim Pawlenty and former Minnesota governor weighed in on the topic.
As to Medicare, everybody knows it's sinking, it's going broke. The current program, Christiane, only has about 50% of it paid for by either premiums or payroll taxes, and the rest is deficit spending and debit spending or debt spending. So we have to fix it.
The former Minnesota governor says he will offer up his own Medicare plan that will also address Social Security.
Thank you for everything that you're doing for our vets. Thank you.
Sarah Palin putting on a helmet, kicking off her bus tour on the back of a motorcycle. She arrived at the Pentagon today with thousands of bikers from Rolling Thunder. The annual motorcycle ride honors America's servicemen and women on Memorial Day weekend.
It's a debt of gratitude that we owe to our vets. It's not the politician, it's not the reporter who allows our freedom. It's our vets. So here to honor them.
Now, Palin is reportedly considering a run for president, but hasn't made any concrete steps to begin a presidential campaign. Today is her first stop in an East Coast tour. Now, several of the most talked about possible GOP candidates are spending their holiday weekends in the key primary state of New Hampshire. Fox News correspondent Molly Hellenberg has the roundup on the growing field of GOP hopefuls.
In Washington, Molly Hellenberg, Fox News.
A new law here has been signed to protect young athletes in Minnesota. We'll talk to a healthcare provider about how this law will protect young kids from the negative effects of concussions. That's next. Well, it is one thing lawmakers actually agreed on this session, protecting young athletes from concussions. Now, on Friday, Governor Dayton signed a new law requiring coaches to remove an athlete who shows signs of concussion and keep them benched until a doctor gives them the all clear. Now, earlier tonight, I talked with the man who led the effort to pass this law. Brent Milliken is with Alina Sports and Orthopedic Specialists. He's also the president of the Minnesota Athletic Trainers Association. Brent, thanks for coming in. It seems like a no-brainer, no pun intended, but a kid gets a concussion, you take him out of the game, but that's not always what is happening. So how will this law change that?
Well, this law brings about consistency. Consistency in education, actually. When we first brought this bill about, we talked to the Minnesota State High School League, and they actually have a process in place that is very good about managing concussions. However, when you look at your youth sports, there wasn't any real consistency on how concussions are going to get managed. This bill brings also education in terms of educating parents, officials, coaches, and even the athletes themselves on what a concussion is. And essentially, it's a mild traumatic brain injury.
Well, with that in mind, what does a concussion look like? What should parents and coaches actually be looking for? I guess the signs and the symptoms?
You know, a concussion can present in a variety of ways. It can be an athlete can complain of a excruciating headache. It can complain of blurred vision, ringing in the ears. It can have memory loss, but it also can be just general fatigue, mood changes. And so concussions aren't as clear-cut to be able to determine those as it is, say, somebody has sprained an ankle or injured their wrist or knee.
Now, you know, we think about football, we're seeing some players there, but we also think about hockey. Are any sports immune from this?
Well, obviously your collision and contact sports are a higher incident rate for concussions. However, you know, we can see it in a variety of other sports as well. You know, volleyball, you know, a sport that you wouldn't think concussions can occur, actually has a number of those athletes have sustained concussions of athletes that we've worked with over the years.
And is there any long-term effect of having 1, 2, or 3 concussions? We know with a lot of these professional athletes, it becomes a very serious concern, especially like with boxers over time.
Well, that is an excellent question, and that is a concern of ours. What we have learned over the last 10 years in terms of the long-term effects of concussions is cumulative. And obviously, when a person has sustained a concussion, we need to make sure it has the appropriate rest. And that's not just rest from physical activity, but also mental activity, so they can fully recover before they return back to activities.
And you don't necessarily need to have an external injury, a bruise, a bump, or a cut to make sure that there's actually been a concussion?
No, you do not. The brain is protected by the skull, and it's similar like an egg yolk in an eggshell, that it can move around. And obviously, so when somebody sustains a concussion, they might not even had a direct blow to their head. It might have just been the violent movement of their head to allow their brain to move inside the skull.
Now, another important part of this law includes training for coaches and officials. Tell us a little bit more about that. What do they need to know?
Well, we don't expect our officials and coaches to become healthcare providers. That was one of the concerns that we went through the legislative process, that we were expecting them to become healthcare providers. This law does not expect them to do that. But what it does do, it helps educate them to understand the signs and symptoms of a concussion. And if they suspect it, it gives them an avenue to remove them from participation until they have been cleared of not having a concussion or been further evaluated if a concussion has truly been sustained.
All right. Well, Brent Milliken, thanks for joining us. And again, great work protecting those young student athletes. Japan is dealing with another debilitating natural disaster. The second typhoon of the year hits the country that is still recovering after the destructive earthquake just a couple of months ago. Egypt lifts a 4-year-old blockade on the Gaza Strip's main link to the outside world. Now, more people can move freely in and out of that region, but not everyone is happy about the ease of travel restrictions. Israeli officials call it a bad policy made in bad faith, saying it violates their 2005 agreement with Egypt. Some fear this could be a sign that post-revolution Egypt won't be honoring its earlier agreements. A more powerful typhoon continues to batter Japan's eastern coast. Heavy rains and high winds now grounding planes and causing delays at the airport in Tokyo. Right now, landslides and flooding are a major concern for area residents. Wind speeds are slowing down, and meteorologists are expecting to downgrade that rainy cyclone to a tropical storm sometime on Monday. This is the second typhoon that hit Japan this year alone. 2 more people have died as a result of tainted cucumbers in Germany. The latest deaths bring that death toll to 10 people who've been killed. The vegetables are causing an infection brought on by E. coli. Health officials believe 2 greenhouses in Spain could be the source of the contaminated cucumbers. Scientists are analyzing whether the water and soil of those greenhouses are the source of that problem. And hundreds of police take to the streets of Barcelona as soccer fans get rowdy after the city's soccer team defeats Britain's Manchester United 3-1 on Saturday. Now, at least 80 people were arrested as fans got out of control, attacked officers with bottles and rocks. 100 people were hurt in the chaos, 18 of them so badly they had to be taken to nearby hospitals. And the Twins pulled off, well, they tried to pull off anyways, a series win at home taking on the Los Angeles Angels in the rubber match. Fox 9 Sports Primetime coming up in just a few minutes.